What's up, everybody? I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. In this video, we're going to be talking about SMGs and if they're usable and viable weapons in Escape from Tarkov, whether you're a brand new player or you're in the early wipe, or if you're more experienced and you're kind of chasing PvP towards the end of the wipe. I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. And if you like the video, thinking about dropping it a like or subscribing for more content like this, subscribing really helps me out as a content creator. So thank you so much to those that do that. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So there's actually quite a few SMGs in Escape from Tarkov, and many of them have multiple variants. So what we'll do quickly is kind of like break down each one and talk about what makes them different and what's unique about each one. And then we'll talk about my thoughts on if they're viable weapons in the game. So right off the bat, the 9mm SMGs kind of dominate as far as the availability of them. So there's 4 9mm SMGs, and multiple of these have multiple variants, whereas each of the other SMGs in the game represent their own caliber. So if you like 9mm, there's plenty of options. We'll talk about how useful 9mm is later, but there's a few different ones. So the MP5, which has a few different variants that you can get from Peacekeeper. It has the MP5 regular, the MP5 SD, which is the suppressed one, comes suppressed, and the MP5 N, or the MP5KN Kurs. This is just a tiny little guy right here. You can slap some mags in. It's actually kind of a meme. But it's 9mm weapon. It shoots at 800 rounds per minute. The Kurs shoots at 900, so a little bit faster, but I still wouldn't recommend using it. What's awesome about this, the MP5, is that it's relatively inexpensive, and if you've unlocked the ability to purchase it from Peacekeeper, the MP5 SD is incredibly accurate with no modifications. Purchasing this for about 50,000 rubles, it comes to 26 vertical recoil. 26 is crazy. I mean, like the best modded M4 you can get is down to like 38 or something like that. Now, once again, this is 9mm, but 26 vertical recoil. This thing is a laser beam, and you do not have to mod it at all. You can throw an optic and maybe a laser or a flashlight on there, and you're good to go. Shoots pretty fast and decent ergo as well right off the bat. So multiple variants of that. And as with most of these weapons, you can find them cheaper on the flea market. The MP5 SD doesn't pull up specifically. It'll just pull up the regular MP5s, but you can get them for under 30K most of the time. The PP19 Vityaz is another 9mm SMG. This you purchase from Propor, 700 rounds per minute. Not nearly as good as stats, but you can actually mod these out pretty intensely. It's up to you to decide if it's worth modding out a PP19, but you can purchase them from Prapor, and most of the time they actually end up being cheaper to do that than to buying them on the flea market. For a roller, you can actually barter for a pretty tricked out one of these, I think from Mechanic. But nothing special. What's nice about this is you get access to it really early as a player. So I like full auto weapons. 9mm is cheap, and like after a wipe or something, this thing can absolutely shred before targets are super geared up. The MPX, another 9mm SMG. This one can also be purchased from Peacekeeper. You can buy a suppressed version, just like with the MP5. You can buy an unsuppressed or suppressed version. Similarly priced to the MP5s. The regular MPX is a little bit more. These are very modular. Once again, so it's cheapest to buy it from Peacekeeper, but you can purchase them on the flea market as well. These are very modular guns. You can make these look like huge, long M4s, longer barrels, longer handguards, better pistol grips, all sorts of different suppressors. There's even a build floating around. You can get this thing down to 17 vertical recoil. It's super fun to play with MPXs and super fun to mod them out just because they look cool. But from a practicality standpoint, it can be quite expensive. And at that point, the beauty of the SMGs, especially the 9mm ones, is that they're cheap, affordable. They're pretty accurate. They're kind of laser beams a lot of the times, and you can just throw some 9mm in it and run. So it's totally up to you, but you'd get to that point where you're spending a ton of money on a 9mm SMG. It's fun for the memes, but it's not really like practical. But the nice thing about the MPX over something like an MP5 or a PP19 is that it's ready to mod out right from the get-go. If you have like a better pistol grip for ergonomics, you can just throw it on. It's got all of the rails you need, so you can put a flashlight on it, you can put an optic on it, and you can put a foregrip on it without having to buy any adapters or anything. With the MP5, if I want to put a flashlight on it, I've got to buy the tri-rail adapter. If I want to put an optic on it, I have to buy another adapter. It's not like it increases the cost a ton, but the MPX just basically comes ready to go. I like running them suppressed, and even the suppressed one, 36 vertical recoil. Once again, we're in like top tier meta M4 category, just purchasing it right from the trader. The last submachine gun in the 9mm category is the MP9, and there's two variants, the MP9 and the MP9N. The only difference being that the MP9N has a fire rate of 1,100 rounds per minute, whereas the MP9 has a 900 rounds per minute, the regular MP9. So the MP9N is an absolute monster. I believe it's the fastest shooting SMG in the game. 1,100 rounds per minute is insane. And that's where you can apply a ton of DPS. That's where the 9mm, you know, kind of falls short as compared to some of the other ammos in EScape From Tarkov a lot of times. But 1,100 rounds per minute, you can throw some serious damage downrange by bursting your enemies down. So not the best in terms of a recoil or anything like that. High ergo, you can suppress these as well, which is nice. But they absolutely shred. They're actually really affordable as well. You can find these on the flea market for about 20,000 rubles, which is crazy. Once again, for a weapon that can shoot 1,100 rounds per minute. And that's why I didn't have the regular MP9 here. Now, the only difference, well, one of the other differences is that the MP9N comes with this kind of like foregrip. You can put your own foregrip on the MP9, the non-N version that shoots a little bit slower. They cost a little bit more. You can put a foregrip on to get better stats, but this thing just absolutely shreds. It shoots super fast. So that's it for the 9mm SMGs and their variants. So my thoughts on them: the MP5 SD has been a favorite of mine recently because it's suppressed. I only have to throw like an optic on there, which is what I'll normally run. And at 26 vertical recoil, it's an absolute laser beam. The MPX is something I've run a lot in the past. Once again, decent stats. You don't have to buy any adapters for anything. I've even tricked these out super insanely as well, just for fun. The PP19 is really for me more of an early wipe weapon, because this is definitely, it doesn't shoot the fastest. It doesn't have the best stats. There's really no reason to run this over some of these other guns. But if you're brand new to the game, if you have really low level traders, if you're really on a budget, these are actually awesome when targets aren't armored as often as when they're late wipe. And the MP9N, I don't run this often. It's fun. It's kind of just like a meme. I mean, you can totally, it's 1,100 rounds per minute. You can totally bring down some enemies, but I'll normally run like the MP5 or the MPX over that. I wanted to really quickly talk about 9mm as a caliber and as a round in EScape From Tarkov. A lot of people are really quick to just be like, 9mm is trash, don't use 9mm. And that's understandable if you're mid to late wipe and you're comparing 9mm to bigger calibers like AK weapons like 545, 7.62, 5.56, or even 308. Of course, it's not going to stack up. But once again, it's about, with the SMGs, it's about using a 9mm weapon that shoots really fast, that has very little recoil, and you can be very accurate shooting for the head. So, of course, it's not going to hang with those bigger calibers, but it can be very viable. I have seen people absolutely dominate. The brand new 7N31 round has 39 pen, which actually puts it, I mean, above something like BT that we would use in an AK. That's like the most common round in an AK, even mid-wipe. Puts it above that, 52 damage, so it shreds. You can only buy 90 at a time from Prapper, and they can be very, very expensive on the flea market. So unless you're finding them or you spend a few weeks kind of stocking them up, that can be hard to run. But the AP 6.3 round with 30 pen and 52 damage, that means it's going to reliably be going through most face shields, like an airframe, a Wendy helmet, the X-Fills. All those have class 3 face shields. So even if you're running up on somebody with super meta stuff, unless they're running like an Alton visor or a kill helmet, you're going to be able to go right through that face shield, which renders it completely useless. And because these shoot so fast, you're going to be able to really, really kind of destroy armors pretty quickly. It's all about expectation though. If you're going up against a few people with Gen 4s, you're going to struggle. You might need to run away. You might need to really take your time with that fight. I'm not here to say that 9mm is like a god round by any means, but it's all about expectation. And if you're looking to A, just run some guns on a budget, or B, just change up your gameplay style and try out new weapons, 9mm is a nice challenge. It forces you to be accurate. It forces you to play really intentionally when you're doing it mid to late wipe. And some of the guns can just be super fun to just laser beam somebody in the head with. So 9mm as a round, as a caliber in the game, of course, it's not going to stack up against the bigger bullets, but that doesn't mean that it's a throwaway round. If you're looking to challenge yourself, if you're looking to change it up, I would highly recommend testing out with some 9mm stuff. Moving on to the PPSH, this is a relatively new weapon to Escape from Tarkov. It shoots the 7.62x25 TT rounds. It shoots super fast at 1,000 rounds per minute. You can't really modify these at all. There's two mags. You've got this magazine and the drum mag, the like 71 round drum mag. It's not crazy. It's pretty low ergo. Okay recoil, like not terrible, but not great. Shoots super fast. Once again, the ammunition here is not really going to be up to par with even something like 9mm. You can get some, some like LRNPC, I believe, is a good leg meta one. This, if you pull it off, if it's early wipe and you pull it off a scav, you can absolutely do some damage with these. But I wouldn't recommend running these mid to late wipe unless you're just trying to kind of meme around. The 9x18 caliber round has 3 SMGs. This is the suppressed Keter right here. You can buy all 3 of these from Prapor at varying levels, and these can actually be super fun. You've got the Keter, the suppressed Keter, and the Clin. Now the differences between them, the Keter shoots 900 rounds per minute, and the Clin, I believe, shoots 1,000. So the Clin shoots a little bit faster. You can suppress the Keter. You can buy the suppressed Keter. You can't suppress the Clin or buy a suppressed Clin. But they all, for all intents purposes, function pretty similarly. I have run these a lot as like a secondary with like a bolt action if I'm going up against scavs, you know what I mean? Or I want something that I can shoot close range. The stats aren't anything crazy, but they can be pretty fun. SP7, I believe, is the round that you can actually get some pretty nasty leg meta. It's got high flesh. And I'll normally run that once again because I'm really only bringing this in for like scavs, which are most of the time relatively unarmored. Or if a PMC comes by, you can get them with leg meta or just go for headshots. Once again, this isn't going to be a caliber or a weapon that I would bring in this alone mid-wipe. Early wipe, if you kill a scav with one, absolutely. Once again, early wipe, if you're going against targets that aren't incredibly armored, you can totally use these and have a fun time. But for the most part, mid to late wipe, this is just kind of like a secondary, or if you're just trying to challenge yourself and go in with some low gear. Next up, the top tier SMGs in Escape from Tarkov are the P90 and the MP7. I did a whole video on the MP7 if you want to check that out. They shoot fast, they hit hard, they're relatively modular, you can suppress them, you can get 40 round mags, they're relatively cheap on the flea market. Like you can buy these for under 50K. There's 40 round mags, 30 round mags, the mags are relatively cheap. The 40 round mags are pretty expensive at 12,000. In my video, I compared this to something like an AS Val where the 30 round mags are like 30,000. So the 40 round mags aren't cheap, you know what I mean? Just, 12,000 a mag, but you can get 30 round mags pretty cheap as well. And the ammo for the MP7, it shoots the 4.6x30 rounds. And this ammo can go all the way to kind of top tier. So the APSX, which is the top tier round, 53 pen, 35 damage, a little low on the damage, but it can absolutely shred. What I'll normally go with is the Happy Medium, the FMJ. You can get these relatively cheap when they're not sold out. And it's 40 pen and 43 damage. So reliably crushing class 4 armor. It's not going to take much to get through class 5 armor in this. When you're running up against class 6 armor, class 6 face shields with FMJ, you're definitely going to need to go for the face or run away because it's going to struggle. You're going to have to mag dump there. But what's great about these is, once again, ready to roll. The MP7A2 you can put whatever foregrip you want on it. The MP7 comes with its own, but you can suppress them. You can put flashlights. You can put optics. They're basically ready to go. Just throw your optic on and fill it up and you're ready to go. These are super fun, and these are definitely viable. I use these a lot on stream. These are definitely viable mid to late wipe, even against pretty armored targets. And then we have the P90. The P90 shoots the same round as the 5.7, which is the 5.7 by 28. This shoots 900 rounds per minute, has pretty decent stats. It can be suppressed. There's also a long barrel. If you don't want to suppress it, that can help with the recoil. You can mount, there's a few different mounts. There's a low profile one I like to use to keep the optic closer to the weapon. It's only got one magazine type, but it's 50 round magazines, which definitely helps because the more these things shoot so fast, the higher mag capacity that you can get in an SMG helps because it allows you to miss a few more shots and still be able to take down some enemies. The ammunition for the 5.7 is another one that, in my opinion, can definitely hang up in the top tier. The SS190 is 37 pen and 49 damage, and then the SS193 is 35 pen and 54 damage. So the pen is really close there, 35 to 37. Now this is definitely pushing it. Once again, you are definitely going to struggle with class 6 anything, and class 5 armor, you're gonna need to hit consistent shots to tear it down. The thing is, though, is once again, we're talking about weapons that shoot really fast. That's kind of the thing of SMGs. They're small weapons. They shoot really, really fast. So with the pen and the damage ratings of the 5.7 ammo, it's right on the line. I think something that kind of saves it is the 50 round mags. You have the ability to just kind of hold left click on somebody and really, really wreck them. One of the huge downsides of the P90 is that repacking these magazines takes forever. I mean, almost completely unviable to do in a raid. So I would suggest bring a lot of mags that are full, even if you want to keep a few in your secure container. It's going to be really, really hard and really time consuming to repack a P90 mag in a raid. But the fact that it's got options, you can suppress them, you can go long barrel and go loud. There's more than one ammo option available that I would consider viable. You can mount whatever you want on it, flashlights, lasers, optics. It's a super fun gun. So those are all the SMGs in EScape from Tarkov. Now, can you use some of these SMGs late game? Absolutely, in my opinion. The P90 and the MP7 are viable mid to late wipe, in my opinion. Are they meta? Absolutely not. So much of my channel, though, is about creating guides and content around weapons that aren't meta but are still viable. I think that's the thing. A lot of times there's a perception in EScape from Tarkov that to be effective, to be good at PvP, or to even just hang in mid to late wipe, you have to be using absolute meta SA58s, meta M4s. Those guns are fun. I use those guns on stream a lot, but you can absolutely destroy with some SMGs, even 9mm SMGs. It's playing well. Having good map knowledge, good positioning, and good accuracy will always trump having a meta gun. I've died to scavs with Gen 4 and a meta M4 that I just got one tap to the face by buckshot from across interchange. And it's like, well, that didn't help me there. I was in the wrong position. So these can absolutely be a ton of fun. The MP7 and the P90 are definitely viable. And then the 9mm weapons, if you've got the good ammo, or if you're just really good with your shots. I have once again seen people just absolutely slay out with 9mm SMGs. I've even done that in the past on my stream. It all comes down once again to expectation. If you go in with a 9mm weapon to any map and mid to late wipe, you just have to set the right expectations about what the time to kill is going to be, having to aim for the head, but you can absolutely dominate. So I hope that this helped. I hope that if you're newer to the game, this broke down just the SMGs. And if you've been playing the game for a while and you're just looking to shake up your gameplay and try new guns, I hope this helped kind of let you know where these guns kind of sit, and maybe they'd push you to try out some new weapons in EScape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, think about dropping it a like or subscribing for more content like this. I'm always trying to create content that helps shorten the learning curve of the game and challenge the kind of way we think, that we don't always have to use meta weapons. They can be fun, but there's a whole new world out there as well. Like I said before, I stream EScape from Tarkov on Twitch. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. We also have a super active Discord community of over 2,500 members, veteran players, new players. If you're looking for people to run raids with, ask questions, anything, the Discord's an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again so much for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.